Hello and welcome to the show. My name is Claire Lee and I'll be your host for this episode. This week I got to sit down with the Student Council Advisor, Ms. Wilson, and talk a little bit more about how homecoming week has been and upcoming things like the canned food drive. It's definitely been a hard year and it calls for some innovation, so we get to see how Student Council has been overcoming obstacles that has been set in front of them. So get ready because this is Lambert in Real Time. Hello, my Longhorns. My name is Claire Lee, and I'll be your host for this episode. In the weeks of October, our school shifts gears into a festive fall homecoming extravaganza with the help of Student Council. Today, our guest has been an anchor of this entire function that happens each year. I am so excited to welcome onto the show Ms. Wilson, the Student Council Advisor. Hey, Ms. Wilson, how are you doing?
Good. How are you, Claire?
I'm doing pretty good. Thank you for asking. I'm really looking forward to this conversation on what Student Council has been going through and what we can look forward to as students throughout the rest of this year. We always want to know the person behind the project, so tell us about you. What are your involvements at Lambert and what are some of your passions?
I've been at Lambert since the year after it opened, so I'm going on my 11th year here. From the very first day that I stepped on campus, I knew that I wanted to be a part of helping form traditions and really helping Lambert be a school that kind of rose above, something that students could hold their head up high, think about their years that they were here with such pride, and be excited to help pass this on to the next generations. We started the school brand new, so it was really kind of exciting to be a part of that. Student Council allowed me that opportunity because, we do anything that's campus based. So homecoming and prom, we do a massive food drive. We do all sorts of things to help foster community and school spirit amongst our student body. That just to me is like what high school's about. The learning, of course, but your memories are getting ready and going to homecoming or that moment you got asked to prom, and to be a part of that is really exciting.
Our high school experience would be completely different if our student council didn't work so hard to make everything a reality, from homecoming to canned food drive. For all those who are interested, how can they join student council and be a part of this memory making?
Oh gosh, we really love the student body to be as much a part of it as possible. Formally, we do a membership drive, which we have currently open online. You can access it currently through the school website. We have it posted on Facebook, and we'll repost it through our social media sites like Lambert Studco on Instagram. We're doing an online drive, the rest of October. And then in November, our officers, which we elected this past week, will reach out, and we're going to start figuring out how to start bringing people together and start planning for, the rest of the school year. Hopefully that we're going to be able to do things here on campus.
For anyone who's even remotely interested, I highly recommend you go join Student Council. It is definitely worth your time. I'm saying this as a previous officer and a member. Being part of these behind the scenes activities, along with actually attending them, you get a double amount of fun and you get to create an experience for other people to enjoy. Traditions take quite a while to develop, for people to look forward to, so what has it been like starting Student Council from the ground up and having people look forward to them?
We kind of do things, I think, a little bit differently than most, in the regards that we try to have a large student body membership. The student body as a whole elect their class officers. So we're the only on-campus organization that really does that level of entire student body participation. And we're always looking for ways to help get them more involved. But the reason why we set it up the way we did was that we really felt in the early years that we didn't want student council to be like an elite group of only a select few. We didn't want it to be, okay, freshmen, you're only in charge of something. Sophomores, you're only in charge of this. We really felt to develop camaraderie, community, leadership, that it had to be something that you could grow with and be involved with every year and building on those skills, whether it's your passion is the food drive that we run every year, if it's planning homecoming and focusing on hall decorations, whatever it is, like you could become a master of it. Like it wasn't, oh, I did it my freshman year, check the box, because again, it's about a community. It's not about individuals. So I think we've done a pretty good job. There's always room for improvement this year, especially as we're trying to figure out how to keep people involved. And that's just an ongoing process. But I think, we'll come out stronger on the other side.
Lambert has gone through and overcome so many challenges for the past 2 months, and I'm sure Student Council will be right alongside that. I know we keep mentioning traditions, but this year is definitely the opposite of traditions, where we are thrown new things at every single direction. We're going to continue the conversation on how Student Council has been adapting through this week and for the rest of this year on new events, old events, traditions, and things like that in the second part of the episode. We're going to take a break and we'll be right back. For a lot of us, it has been a really tough year, and Student Council has been bringing light to the darkness for sure. There's a lot of activities upcoming, and Coach Bass and I talked a little bit more about it on the new series called Time Lapse that we began last week. It's a 5 to 7 minute podcast episode where Coach Bass and I come back every once in a while to talk about all the cool events that's happened, upcoming things, and just to update you on what happened, summaries of our podcast, what's behind the scenes. So if you guys are interested in listening, make sure to check out the October time lapse on our IGTV, YouTube, Spotify, and anywhere you can find podcasts. Thank you so much, and let's go back to the episode. Welcome back from the break. We're going to cover all the questions and concerns most of the student body has been having about homecoming, pep rallies, and much of the other fun activities Student Council gets to host every year. Let's start with a big one that everyone is wondering. What exactly happened to homecoming?
So this has just been a crazy year, obviously, and we're all trying to adapt to our kind of new reality that we're dealing with, but also maintain traditions. With our really first big event being homecoming, we wanted to make sure that we took kind of a um, cautiously optimistic approach, and make sure that we had doses of success. So initially, I sat down with the administration about what we could do. It was like, I don't think we can do anything. And then it was like, no, let's really try, because this is such a part of high schools. Spirit days definitely are doable with Coach Bass and his wacky games during the middle of the day. So okay, let's do that. How about the dance? And that was easily said, nope, not happening this year. Okay, so where can we find those middle grounds? So normally we do hall decorations, but that would have required a lot of student body engagement, close together, talking, movement. Administration said, maybe we can hold off on that and do that for another event later in the year. Then it was like, okay, well, the court, like what about that? And they're like, well, let's do that for sure. We went through a process of, okay, what would work, what wouldn't work. And then it was like, well, how do we make it work? For example, the homecoming court presentation at the football game, we're still going to do. It's going to be fabulous. But one of the adjustments we made was that students are now going to be escorted by one of their parents. That way, we have the court, but we don't have to worry about, what ifs by pairing students together. A lot of it is probably being overly cautious. But at this point, if we can err on that side and have success, that just opens the door for us to be able to do things that could come later on this year. It's kind of sad that homecoming is a bit of our test run, but I think we're going to find that our cautious optimism now is going to pay off for other events like, prom and things like that later in the year.
I totally agree that this could be an investment for future events, whether it be the canned food drive or prom. We definitely need to take caution in the beginning, learn from our mistakes, see what we can do and we can't do. It's definitely a good decision on student council and the administration's part. Nevertheless, our students were a little bit disappointed missing the iconic homecoming dance that we have each year, but I've heard some whispers about a Sadie Hawkins dance sometime this winter. I know we're going really big with the hopes and aspirations right now, so what's the game plan? Is there going to be a makeup dance?
It is a big fingers crossed. So when we first started chatting with administration and officers and kind of thinking, okay, what else can we do? If we lose homecoming, and the conversation came around, well, what about during basketball season? Now, naturally, there is actually a real Sadie's Hawkins Day, and it's in February, which overlaps with our basketball season. So we kind of thought, hey, what if? We've talked about it doing it in the past, but it never really had the feet to go forward. But I think it's something that we can actually, again, cautiously, but be optimistically looking forward to, because, oh my gosh, it'd be so much fun. And I think it's an opportunity for the student council to bring in a new layer of tradition. And I think this could be a really unique opportunity to do so. So, like, fingers crossed that we're going to be able to do that.
I think this is a great example of how Lambert has been overcoming all these different obstacles, these new experiences, with the Sadie Hawkins dance being in place of our usual fall homecoming dance. Students still get the experience of going to a dance and having fun with their friends, But we are going to need a little patience to see how the rest of this year is going to play out and the upcoming next year. But things are playing out pretty well for right now, so I hope that trend continues.
No, right?
In terms of investment, we just heard back that our pep rally to conclude homecoming week has been canceled. A lot of us were looking forward to it. It would have been a great show of how Lambert was doing, but what's the plan for upcoming pep rallies?
So, unfortunately, we just felt that the timing of doing a pep rally this Friday wasn't quite there. There are some, logistical issues that we were kind of falling into this Friday. So, basically, what we've decided to do is just simply postpone to either the latter part of the football season when we're hopefully in playoffs, maybe during basketball season. The idea is still there, the ability to do either an entire student body prep rally, maybe realistically, at least doing class opportunities. It's just a matter of finding that right timing when the school spirit, the participants, and everything just kind of meshes together. After a long conversation about it, we just kind of felt, all right, baby steps. Let's take one thing at a time. And so far, Spirit Week's been going so well that maybe we want to end on a high note rather than say like, oh, if this doesn't go well, that could put other events at risk. It was a tough decision, believe me. I really thought Coach Bass might cry. So his spirit is definitely on another level. So it was a very tough decision to make, but we will do that eventually. We just don't know when yet.
I can't even begin to imagine how Coach Bass felt. It's definitely soul crushing, and a lot of us were looking forward to it. A little bit more school spirit, a little bit more excitement. But as a school, we definitely needed this to a certain extent. So hopefully, this will lead to more interactive and fun events in the future.
I think so too.
I know it feels to many of us that we couldn't do a lot this year, but one cool thing that we did is the masked longhorn. Instead of pomp boards, which takes a lot of teamwork, we got to work on a canvas mask and draw whatever we want. This was definitely a win. We got to get a little creative and have fun during homecoming week.
With the masks, it brings in a new opportunity for membership that shows creativity in a way that the pomp boards maybe did not lend themselves. I think it's just a really great way to celebrate our students. And again, it's innovating every time and taking this idea of the masks. Maybe next year we're able to marry it up with the pomp boards and do something even bigger and better. So just lots of hopes.
Homecoming week was so much fun, and it was definitely something that we were able to do for a little pick me up for the rest of this year and setting the tone for our Lambert attitude. Now, looking forward a little into the future, one of the big events that's coming up in the next month is the canned food drive. It is a massive school-wide effort to help our community with food over the winter. One downside to that this year is it takes a lot of teamwork with students from every single grade and staff helping pack and organize the cans. Are there hopes of maintaining that this year? If so, is anything going to be a little different?
Well, you're absolutely right. It is a beyond successful event that we do here on campus that it's really unique. We raise tens of thousands of food items every year for families to have over the winter break. There's real value to that. And of course, we're really nervous that might not happen this year. So one of the big things that student council is going to be talking about is how can we make this happen and still maintain safety protocols. I can tell you, I've spoken to a number of people here on campus who are like, that can't disappear. We've got to do it. Our county liaison, who's in charge of the homeless program that we donate all the food to, and they're worried because unintentionally, of course, come to rely upon the generosity of our school because we're the only school that does something like this. Again, we don't really know what those safety protocols will be just yet, but we're going to figure something out because we've got to make this happen.
With the progress we made through homecoming, I definitely see a hopeful future for the canned food drive. Even if it's going to be in a smaller scale, anything right now feels like a definite win. We're fighting a battle that we feel like we have no control over, and whatever we can do to make everyone else's day a little bit better and keep everyone safe is definitely a show of improvement and growth at our school. It was really interesting to hear how student council and similar clubs have adapted into this time and making most of everything. For any students interested in being part of this effort to make our year a little bit better or learn a little bit more about student council, where can they find that information?
In the past couple of weeks, posted on school social media and websites a link to register We also have an Instagram page, Lambert Studco, that you can also access, as well as you have a number of friends actually already in student council, I'm sure. So talk around, ask your friends. You can always come see me, Mrs. Wilson. I'm in room 1909. I'm always looking for happy, smiling faces and people who just want to be a part of something. Student council, it's pretty wide open. Definitely a come one, come all.
Once again, I really appreciate you for coming on the show. If anyone's interested, make sure to go check it out. Become a member of Student Council today. If you guys really want to listen to more episodes of Lambert Annual Time, make sure to check out our Instagram, Spotify, and YouTube for episodes and updates. Thank you so much for listening. Stay safe and hook 'em.
Welcome.